All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. What if a simple photo of your eye could tell a doctor if you have kidney disease, or maybe even if you're at risk for a heart attack? Well, it's not science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. So just think about that for a second. What secrets are actually hiding inside your eyes? It turns out a deep learning AI can look at a picture of your eye and see this whole hidden world of information about your health, stuff you would never, ever expect. Like whether or not you have anemia. That's a condition that affects over 1.5 billion people worldwide, and it almost always requires a blood test to figure out. Or how about signs of kidney disease, which is famous for not having any early symptoms? Well, the AI can pick up on these tiny little biomarkers from just a single photo. And yeah, even your risk for heart problems. The AI is spotting patterns that are literally invisible to the human eye. So, how on earth is this even possible? Well, this isn't some kind of magic trick. It's the result of these incredibly powerful deep learning models that have been trained on hundreds of thousands of medical images. Let's take a look at just how well they actually work. Okay, so this slide really tells the story. Researchers tested how well the AI could spot anemia. A model that only used basic info like age and sex, that's the metadata only line, it did okay. It got an accuracy score of about 0.74. But get this, when the model used only a photo of the back of the eye, that's the fundus only part, the performance just skyrockets to 0.87. This is the proof that the image itself holds powerful, independent clues about the health of your blood. And check out this chart. It perfectly shows the accuracy for something a bit simpler, like predicting if you need glasses. A normal statistical model had a pretty big error rate. But the AI model, just look at that difference. It was more than 3 times as accurate. It could basically guess your prescription just by looking at your retina. So, all of this incredible performance led to one giant question. We could see that it was working, but we had absolutely no idea how. The AI was a total black box, making these genius predictions without ever showing its work. And in medicine, you just can't rely on a black box. You have to know the why. And that question kicked off the next chapter of this research, a full-blown investigation to crack open that black box and finally see what the AI was actually thinking. The early ways of explaining AI were kind of like following a detective around. You could see where they were looking, like with heat maps. You could see the AI was focused on the optic nerve, but you didn't know what clue it saw there. The real breakthrough came with a new technique that could finally show us what the AI was actually seeing. And the tool that made all this possible is called StylEx. The best way to think about it is like a photo editor for the AI's brain. It can take a picture of an eye and create a new one, basically asking, hey AI, what would this eye look like if it were the perfect example of anemia? This lets us literally see the exact feature, the visual clue, that the AI has learned to look for. So here's the basic idea of how it works. First, you train a normal AI to get really, really good at a task, like spotting anemia. That's your classifier. Then you train a second AI, a generative one, to create super realistic images of eyes. That's your generator. The magic happens when you connect them and ask the system to find the visual dials it can turn that have the biggest impact on the prediction. Finally, it spits out images with those dials cranked up or down, and human experts can look at them and say, aha, so that's what it's looking at. And when those experts finally got to peek inside and see through the AI's eyes, well, the results were just stunning. They fell into 3 very different and equally important categories. This is where our little detective story gets really interesting. We got the confirmation we were hoping for, a shocking twist that nobody saw coming, and brand new leads that could actually change science as we know it. So first, the really good news. The AI, all on its own, rediscovered classic medical signs that doctors have known about for decades. It figured out that narrowed arteries in the retina are a sign of high blood pressure and that a pale inner eyelid is linked to anemia. This was huge. It was like a sanity check. It proved the AI was learning real, medically valid biology. But then came the twist. When the AI was trying to predict anemia from photos of the outside of the eye, one of its top clues turned out to be eyeliner. Seriously. Now, obviously, eyeliner doesn't cause anemia. What happened was the AI found a clever but totally wrong shortcut. It learned that people who wear eyeliner are more likely to be female, and females, as a group, have a higher rate of anemia. It learned a social pattern, not a biological one, and that was a massive warning sign. And finally, we get to the most exciting part. the AI actually came up with brand new, testable scientific ideas. For example, it found a link between a pale eyelid margin and poorly controlled diabetes. This might be a subtle sign of another condition common in diabetics that we had never connected before. It's like the AI just handed scientists a treasure map filled with new places to explore. So here's the really big takeaway. This technology isn't just a cool new diagnostic tool. It's actually changing the fundamental rules of how we do scientific research. Think about it. For centuries, science has worked like this. You come up with a hypothesis, then you collect data to test it. This completely flips that script. Now, we can take these enormous existing data sets, train an AI to make a really accurate prediction, and then use tools like StylEx to ask the AI why it works. We're letting the data generate the hypothesis for us. But, and this is probably the most important point of all, there's a huge catch. That eyeliner example proves it. You can't just let the AI run wild on its own. You absolutely need a team of human experts, doctors, engineers, even social scientists, to interpret what the AI finds. They're the only ones who can tell the difference between a real biological signal and a clever shortcut based on a social bias. The potential here is just immense. Imagine going for your regular diabetic eye exam and at the same time getting automatically screened for anemia and kidney disease at no extra cost. But we have to be smart about this. These are research tools, not finished products. They need to be tested on way more diverse groups of people, and we always have to remember that just because two things are correlated, it doesn't mean one causes the other. Which really leaves us with one final big thought. AI is becoming unbelievably good at finding these hidden clues in our medical data, pointing us toward discoveries we could have never imagined. The question isn't really about the technology anymore. It's about us. Are we wise enough to build the collaborative, thoughtful teams that we need to solve the puzzles that the AI uncovers? The future of medicine just might depend on it.